Hello everyone, good afternoon. Today is the last talk of this long journey on ceramic art that we started last March 12 for presenting and introducing the artist selected for the 63rd edition of the Faenza Prize. That will open, as you know, the next June 27 in Faenza in the late afternoon. I'd like to thank the jury for supporting the talks during this month with this long program, with their presence. The jury, as you know, is represented by myself, Yeyung Cho, Valentin Spetico, and Marco Maria Polognato. Our video podcast is always online. You can watch all the episodes of this journey on our YouTube channel, Make Faenza. Today we have the pleasure to meet some artists in presence, let's say, and on a video. The artists are Marc Alberghina, Juliette Clovis, Jiho Kim, Kristina Okan, Léa Renard, Yangkun Wang, Yen Ying. And we will introduce also the artist that couldn't have the possibility to be present on the talk online. So we will start with the first one, who is Marc Alberghina from France. Unfortunately, he cannot be here with us, but he sent a very short presentation of his work, and I'd like Stefania to show the first image. Marc Alberghina, as you know, he began working with ceramic in Valoris in the south of France. Witness to a kitsch aesthetic as defined by Yves Pelletier, whose text is beside this festin skeleton. In this work, he addresses the theme of death, decadence, cannibalism as a skeletal feast. Next image. Canis Lingua is an ironic work on tongue, and it is a metaphor on language and communication itself in his very particular style. Next. Autocombustion is a work that takes into consideration the thematic of the fire as a purifying agent of rebirth and exploration of the unconscious. Next, La Mère, the mother, is a work again on the unconscious, on the maternal womb, on desire, sexuality, and the duality of the sexes. Next, Sucrerie douce, sweet sugar, is an ambiguous work on sensuality, on the feminine, starting from a revisited shape of a vase. Next is Kronos. Kronos is the work that is presented for the Faenza Prize, and it was selected. And in this work, Marc imagined a bouquet made of pyrometric clocks, like in the film of Pierpaolo Pasolini, Salò, or the 120 Days of Sodom. These perimetric clocks reveal the imminence of a tragedy, a catastrophe, a climatic or nuclear apocalypse. Paradoxically, they take me back, he said, to the boudoir, to the intimate, to the secrets of the alcove, to love, to libertinage, to submission, and to fornication. So this is the work by Marc Alberghina. And then we will go on with the next artist again from France. Today we have an important presence of French artist, Juliette Clovis. Juliette, it's a pleasure to meet you in presence.
It's a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you.
And please go on with your presentation of a particular work that is based on surfaces of porcelain surfaces, as is always indicative of your style. Please, the microphone is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So hello, everyone. I am very happy to be here today, and it is an honor to have one of my pieces selected for the Faenza Prize. So to introduce my work, I need to start with where I come from, because 10 years ago, I knew nothing about ceramics. I have been a visual artist for 20 years now, working mostly in 2 dimensions. After a decade focused on a specific cutting technique, I felt I have reached a limit and was ready for a new challenge. Above all, I wanted to find an echo in three dimension to my work in 2 dimensions. So yeah, I started looking for what medium I can work with. And ceramics came into my life quite unexpectedly. A friend who worked in porcelain in a factory in Limoges invited me to discover the material. But as I am not a very impulsive person, it took me 2 years of reflection to consider the possibility of working with porcelain. Then I went there. So in 2015, I began working on my first piece of porcelain in a porcelain factory in Limoges. I arrived there with a clay bust I have modeled in my studio, with in mind a series of female busts overtaken by an invasive nature. It was an echo of my 2-dimensional work. Discovering porcelain was a turning point. It totally changed my work and actually my life. From one day to the next, I left behind me my previous practice to focus entirely on this new material. I was very lucky to learn directly from the factory's craftsmen, which allowed me to create my first pieces even as I was still learning. So for 4 years, I was an artist resident in this Limoges factory, and I work on this series of busts you can see on this first slide, and as well as a series of eggs in the Limoges porcelain tradition. Then I began to feel the need to work differently. I knew I wanted to keep porcelain at the heart of my work, but also I wanted to take it elsewhere, to combine it with other materials in order to feel free to explore any type of form or scales. So next, please. In 2019, I started working on the Endless series. So here is the first piece I made, and actually the largest one. So this piece is made with about 7,000 porcelain scales, each individually fixed on a structure made of sculpted foam. So it marked a key moment in my practice. It is the first time I combine porcelain with another material. While this piece has a reptilian look, the true inspiration comes from the pangolin, and I precise it was in 2019, so before the pandemic. So pangolin is a small mammal in the voice of extinction due to illegal hunting for his scales. So like the pangolin, thousands of porcelain scales interlock into each other and forms a carapace that covers entirely the surface of my sculptures. The idea behind this series was to start with the pangolin scales, the source of its decline, and recreate a powerful new form of life. So instead of disappearing, a new living being comes to life, a new cycle. Next, please. So here is Molorus as a piece which is the work which is selected for the Faenza Prize. So it is one of the most recent work of my endless series. As the previous work, the form follows an endless cycle. So there is no beginning, no end. The infinite rhythm has become central to my series and actually to all my work. Over time, Asian philosophies, and especially the concept of yin and yang and samsara, have deeply influenced my thinking. Balance and harmony now play a key role in my process. I search for this balance through contrast, often spending months finding the right dialogue between colors, textures, and finishes. In Molorus, a glossy white glazed section contrasts with a matte biscuit surface in soft shades of yellow. So the tension and harmony between these two elements are at the heart of the piece. Next, please. So here are other pieces from my endless series, where you can also see this search for a balance and for contrast in each piece. Next, please. So I would like to end this presentation with my most recent series, which I call the Molting Season, and which I started 1 year ago. Inspired by nature's constant transformation, this series explores the cycles that define life. Molting became for me a metaphor, a reflection of growth, change, and renewal. So, and this series also marks a new step in my practice, in my technique. The scales have changed of form, but also this time I have imagined to fix them onto large cotton canvases, creating porcelain tapestries. Through deep folds and fluid movement, I try to give them the sense of life. Next, please. And in this last slide, you can see few movement details of my porcelain tapestries. Movement is very important in this series and actually also in the Endless series in all my work. For me, movement is a way of making the living visible, a suggestion of breath, of rhythm, of cycles, of transformations. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliette. Yes, the movement is one of the symbol of your work, but I'd like to say something also for your beginning, very beginning, the importance of the laboratories, the studios in support of the artists that are approaching as you arriving from visual art, approaching a new medium like ceramic, which has a great complexity, technical one, first of all. And so it is important to have this workshop for giving the security to the artists that can go on by themselves for the choice of the ceramic they made. And I really like your work because, as said, there is this kind of movement also in the work that you presented for the Faenza Prize with this biomorph situation of new living creature, I think, and
Exactly.
also the impact
Exactly.
of the color is very important in your work. So compliments.
Yes.
And thank you for your presentation. And we go on with Jiho Kim, who sent us a video presentation. She is reflecting on the animal world as a kind of metaphor of our society and of our social behavior. Please, Stefania, go on with the video presentation
안녕하세요.
of
만나서
Jiho Kim.
반갑습니다. 저는 한국에서 도자 작업을 하고 있는 김지호입니다. 제 작업 속 동물들은 상처를 입거나 갇혀있는 동물 친구들입니다. 과거에는 동물을 수단이나 도구로 여겼지만 현대에 들어서는 가족처럼 공존해야 할 존재로 바라보는 사람들이 늘고 있습니다. 그러나 여전히 동물을 인간보다 하위의 생명체로 여기는 시선도 적지 않습니다. 동물 역시 인간처럼 고통과 쾌락, 만족감을 느끼며 사회적 관계를 맺으며 살아갑니다. 우연히 동물원 속 동물이 정형 행동을 하는 모습을 보게 되었고, 그 모습이 사회란 틀에 갇혀 스트레스를 받아 정신질환을 겪는 사람들과 비슷해 보여 동질감을 느낀 것을 계기로 작업을 시작하게 되었습니다. 제 작업의 제목은 대부분 us cage입니다. 한국어로 us와 cage 모두 우리라고 발음합니다. 우리는 두 가지 의미를 모두 가지고 있는 단어입니다. 이 언어적 중의성은 이 작업의 중심 개념이기도 합니다. 이 작업이 이번 파엔자에 제출한 작업 사진입니다. 동물들이 스트레스를 받았을 때 보이는 반복되는 행동을 정형행동이라고 하는데, 이 행동을 나타내고자 고릴라를 여러 개로 나누어 제작했습니다. 잘린 단면에는 사람들이 마음속에 편히 쉴 수 있는 집을 품고 살아가듯 동물원 속 동물들에겐 그러한 곳이 서식지라고 생각해 고릴라의 서식지 풍경을 그려 넣었습니다. 밑에 있는 거울처럼 보이는 스테인리스는 스트레스를 받아 웅크리고 있는 사람들의 형태로 우리는 같은 고통을 겪고 있다는 것을 말하고자 했습니다. 사진에 나와 있는 작품은 관련 주제로 작업한 초기 작업을 보완하여 제작한 작업물입니다. 제출한 고릴라랑은 다르게 초기엔 반복되는 행동을 한 마리의 동물을 2등분으로 나누어 표현했고, 색도 흰색, 한 가지의 색으로 여러 동물을 제작하였습니다. 다음 작업은 올해 제작한 작업입니다. 이 작업은 국내 사육곰들을 보고 작업했습니다. 기존에는 웅크린 사람 모양의 스테인리스가 함께 했는데, 새로 만든 작업은 사람이 직접 좁은 우리를 경험하면 좋겠다고 생각해 철장에 사각 프레임으로 제작하고, 도자기 타일 위에는 사람이 직접 올라갈 수 있도록 제작하였습니다. 이 작업은 새장에 갇히거나 윙컷을 당한 애완조 친구들을 보고 만든 것입니다. 저는 새장과 윙컷으로 비행이라는 자유를 뺏긴 새들이 꿈을 재단당한 채 틀에 갇혀 살아가는 사람들과 비슷하다고 생각했습니다. 그래서 새장은 서울의 빽빽한 아파트처럼 사각형의 높은 형태로 제작했고, 제목이 제가 현재 살고 있는 아파트의 동호수로 정하게 되었습니다. 작품이 원할 때마다 자유롭게 변할 수 있었으면 좋겠다 싶어 블록 형태로 쌓을 수 있도록 작업을 했습니다. 제 발표를 끝까지 들어주셔서 감사합니다. 우리에 갇힌 동물들은 우리와 같은 생명체라고 생각합니다. 동물들의 환경 개선이 이루어지길 바라고, 더불어 사람들이 스트레스에서 벗어나 조금이나마 편안해지길 바랍니다. 감사합니다.
We thank Jiho Kim for her presentation with these beautiful shapes of animals that recalls a painted landscape, beautifully painted. And as I said before, it is a nice and interesting metaphor of the society and of our social behavior, and also this idea of the cage that is also the way of expressing our feelings towards animals. So we go on with the presentation, and we welcome Kristina Okan from Russia originally, but living everywhere in the world, let's say. And so the microphone is yours, presenting your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I'm very happy and very honored to be on board today. Thanks a lot for having me. And as Claudia said, I'm from Russia originally, but currently I live in Spain. And before, for almost 5 years, I lived in Berlin, where actually I became a full-time artist, working mostly with porcelain. Even though I have graduated ceramic department and art academy, and I honestly tried all kinds of clay, all kinds of techniques, glazes, but gave my preference to porcelain in the end, because I think it's corresponding with my topic of my research very much. So for around 7 years, I researched the topic of nature and topic of futility of life, of ephemerality of some natural processes. And so we can go to the first slide. So I would like to start my presentation with this work because I think it represents my art practice in general very well. So the work is Flesh. Currently it's in China, in Hangzhou, in Atelier Blanc exhibition. And so this work is basically my research on fragility of nature. And it was very challenging to implement it because you can see that the layer of porcelain is extremely thin and it was all breaking when I tried to manipulate each item. It was like breaking in my hands, and I just tried to preserve as much as I can. And in the end, I built the sculpture that's kind of ruining and decaying, but at the same time, due to porcelain is a very hard material. It stays as like a small monument to some decaying piece of nature. We can go next. The next work is Fruits of Acid Peel. So here, basically, I got inspiration from some Renaissance and Baroque paintings where fruits and precisely lemons are usually like very important part of compositions. Like the peel sometimes is a little bit dramatically falling from the table. And so I tried to give this vibe to my work. I was like breaking pieces myself on purpose, was bending them. And you can see also there are some like I use the porcelain paste a little bit like artists using strokes on oil canvas, like to make it a little bit alive and to show the presence of creator. We can go next. So this work is adhesion. So it's very abstract work, I would say, because at one side, like it's not very clear actually that it's cauliflower, but because at some point it looks a little bit like coral, some piece from the bottom of the sea, but then closer you can see that actually it's cauliflower, and from afar it might look like brain. And so like I tried, I like got some fun playing with these pieces to create something abstract and visually very appealing and interesting. Next, please. So the work Harvest is the next work, which actually was a transition from my normal pieces of art that I do to installations that I recently tried to make. So it's like the hanging pieces that were inspired by the natural storage of fruits and vegetables. Like sometimes they're hanging for the whole winter in the storage to be preserved as much as possible. And I find this like effortless, like I see this effortless beauty that actually out of necessity they have to be stored this way. But as an artist, like you can see that actually it's already like ready-made composition and attracts a lot of attention as some decorative piece of art. So I was like combining different ways of items, like how they could create some interesting composition and at the same time reflect the real fruits and vegetables stored like for the whole winter. Next, please. So this is actually the installation that I made last year in a residency in China, in Blanc de Chine. And it was my first experiment doing such a big work. So the total height of the work is around 3 meters. And it was a site-specific installation based on Chinese folk story, where the main character, the little girl, could transform the rocks from the mountain into rice because she was left to die in the mountains by her evil uncle. But due to her willpower, she found a way how to survive, and she could magically transform white rocks into rice. So here on the top, you can see that there are small pieces, which actually is rice, of course, made of porcelain. So the work was extremely challenging because it was my first time working with Chinese porcelain, which is very special. I would say it's probably the most beautiful porcelain I have ever seen, but at the same time, it's very challenging. And it was a big challenge to create this work. And we can go next. So the final work is the petrified food, is the work that will be presented in Faenza Prize. So basically for the last 2 years, I'm very interested in researching the topic of food from the terms of magic qualities that food has in traditional fairy tales and folk tales. So the previous work, the installation, was based on Chinese story, and this work is basically comes from my reflection from many fairy tales and stories that I read and researched, but even the most popular stories that we know, like Cinderella, Snow White, we always see that there is some object, some piece of food that actually turns into something unexpected and brings some changes into life of the main character, some transformations. And so, this work is like some symbolic way to show some transformations, something that also kind of decaying and dying, but at the same time, it might remind some cloud or something that might evaporate. So, something that from the different angles might look completely different. And we can check the next slide too. So this is the work from different angles. So thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Kristina, for introducing your work. This kind of modern still life, let's say, that are kind of trompe-l'oeil, but I think that they are also a deeper reflection on the waste of food, the quotidianity of life, and you put also together this storytelling, for example, of the work that you produce for Blanc de Chine, which is a connection also with the tradition, Chinese tradition and literature. And so thank you for introducing your work, and let's go on with Léa Renard, another lady from France. Léa, good afternoon. And yes, the microphone is yours. You can introduce your work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really glad to be here and to take part of the Faenza Prize this year. Concerning me, I'm, as you said, I'm based in France, in the south of France, where I first moved 6 years ago to study ceramics. And after, I never been able to leave this place because it's just too beautiful. And I recently realized actually how this place has for sure an influence now on my work in terms of forms, colors, and texture as well. So first slide, please. I will start with a picture from my first exhibition, South Square, which I presented in 2020. It was a really great playground for me where I began to explore really a sensory, tactile and playful universe. And first through a dialogue with different scales of work, from the tiny handheld objects to large body-sized pieces. It's something I really love to play with, especially for myself, actually, in the act of creating this. This huge contrast between small and big really change how you engage your body with the work, how spontaneous you can be, and then how it creates to the this kind of funny dialogue between the pieces themselves. So my ceramic work is also deeply connected to the idea of transformation, not just at the shift from one state to another, but at the living process. And from there, I really love playing with contrasts that are already inside the material itself, fragile and strong, still and alive, bold and calm. And next slide, please. Thank you. And from the beginning, the basic form I've used to explore it and to explore transformation, has been a sort of global. To be honest, I can't really explain why, and actually I find it a little bit strange myself. It's like my hand just found this shape, and somehow it became a way to me to unfold my entire imagination. That's how, after a few years, I came to create the installation you see on the screen. And it starts with a search for velvet texture, something that will catch the light, and particularly on this shape, texture, light, and form all came together in a really beautiful way, creating this soft and almost magical effect. So I ended up making around 60 pieces of different size to play with that sense of accumulation and install all of them in different places, in forest, in some cave, and different places. What I love with this work and working with accumulation was the idea of harmony in the whole, of power of the collective, and actually none of my pieces are ever created alone. I always work in collection or in installations that are meant to be in a kind of dialogue with each other. So next slide, please. In this image, I'm showing you the piece Darling Clementine that I made last year. It's the last one of a series I started in 2022, who I explore contrast, but also risk and fusion. What is a little bit funny is that this first piece of this series was a mistake, actually. I had already been glazing for a while when I stayed too long in one spot, and when that happened, the area get too wet and you lose all the texture. But I didn't want to start over because I'm a perfectionist, but I'm also really lazy, and I decided to hide the mistake by adding a chunk of glaze. And that's how the first piece of this series was born. And I loved it so much. So little by little, I worked to get more control over this effect, but without removing the risk completely. Because what I love in this process is the game that happens with the kiln, with me and the kiln, and with the piece and the kiln. And I suggest a form, but I don't choose the final one. And that's, for me, the beginning of what is interesting with ceramic. Next slide, please. Sorry. So it's another example of this work about contrast and risk. So next slide, please. At the same time as my research on fusion, I have also always been interested in playing with scale and size. This led me to create small pieces conceived as little bit as models at the beginning. And over time, these small objects became works at their own, because they gave me a kind of freedom and spontaneity that I couldn't find elsewhere. So it gives space for me for the gesture, both in shaping and in glazing process, which are really became a playground for me and a space of freedom, of experimentation, exploration, and research. So year after years, I started to accumulate these small pieces. And next slide, please. Well, it's difficult for me to say that. This is the installation I am proposing for the Faenza Prize. Not exactly this version, but the idea is the same. And it brings together all the questions I have been exploring into my work during these years. Accumulation, play, humor, scale, and fusion. And these sculptures are shown here as a part of kind of contemporary cabinet of curiosity. By showing a variety of forms, of texture, each object has its own and unique story, unique voice, while also becoming a part of a larger whole. And it's for me a poetic, but also a numeristic way to explore the relationship between the individual and the collective, and between abstraction and what it awakes in each of us. So here, for me, abstraction becomes like a space of projection, and the whole installation is not meant as a final statement, but as an open proposition, an invitation to look, to feel, and to inhabit the space with your own interpretation. So let we see in Faenza. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Léa. It's let's say that it is another kind of still life. So we saw the one of Kristina before, and this is your alphabet. So what you are showing is your alphabet of forms or of decoration. As you said, it's a playground for you. And this, I saw the installation, and it seems that they are living forms, because this surface is kind of vivid and kind of moving. It's very empathic in the general installation. So thank you very much for your presentation, and let's go on and let's go to China with Yangkun Wang, who is a Chinese artist coming from Jindazhen, born in Jindazhen, and he is giving out a presentation with a work that comes from a traditional clay daily object reinterpreted in an emotional way. So the microphone is yours, please.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be selected by the Faenza Art Prize. And I was born in Jindazhen. My family generations engaged in ceramic art. My grandpa was, he spent his whole life in ceramic sculptures. Since I was a little kid, I walk around his studio and see how he make his works. So I think there is a connection, and also he encouraged me to start use this to make some ceramic works. So next page. Yeah, and I was born in Jindazen, and right now I make ceramic works, and also I'm a PhD candidate in Shanghai Academy of Fine Art, and also I'm a visiting PhD in University of Melbourne. So right now I'm in Melbourne. And next page. This is one of my works, toothpaste in 2021. Yeah, next page. Yeah, this is my CV. Oh, next page. My major is sculpture, and I used to make works use stainless and different kind of sculpture materials. And since because I was born in a ceramic family, so I find when I use the ceramic material, it's more close to my heart. And so I try different way to make ceramics work, make ceramic sculpture. And in 2019, and once I know the traditional Yixing clay teapot slabs, people in Yixing cities, they in the past several hundreds years, the traditional peoples who make Yixing clay used to make teapots. They just like slabs, use the slabs to make the teapot. But next page, as you can see, they use the slab to handmade the teapot. Next page. But mainly my major is sculptures, so I try to use the make slabs to make sculptures, and then the slabs help me to make ceramic works. Usually, some Chinese artists they make ceramics using modeling, but once I try to use slabs, it just can finish the works in a very short time. And you also it need you to be very sensitive to make you the feelings to make include in your works very quick. And I use this way to make works, and sometimes use slips and some underglaze from United States. Next page. And this is the first time I used the slips. I used the slabs to make some works, and I try to, because I used to make works some traditional Chinese, also dramas or some traditional stories. But since I think about my works, I just think I try to describe about something in my daily life. So when I use the slab to describe some ladies or just like that. And next page, please. And when I have a look in my daily life and my surroundings, because in China right now the takeaway food is very convenient. So there are a large numbers of takeaway food are ordered, and also they use the boxes. So many boxes are waste every day. And in Shanghai, when I live there and based there, that become my daily life. So I think that was there's a very close connection between me and this product. So next page. Yeah, when I use the slab to describe the daily works, I think about when I use that, I feel like the inside of the takeaway box, the handbag and the toothpaste, I think I can feel it seems there is living. I think they are alive. They are not only just some we use and throw away. We think it's regarded as a trash and throw away. I can feel the life inside of that. And when I see the clamps and the folder inside of the takeaway box, I can feel the passing of life. So I try to use slab and bend the slides to describe the feeling when I just feel the inside of the energy of the box. Next page. And I try to use some record of I make my works inside of my private kiln. Next page. Yeah, this works was selected by the Faenza this times. Yeah, next page. Yeah, and I tried to use different slips to make a different layer. Next page. And this images is the whole works selected by Faenza this times, and it includes different kind of way I put the works together. And next page, there's different angles and different different detail. Next page. Yeah. I tried to describe the feelings when I use the daily object. It's also the feelings why it's my personal feelings of my own experience. When I just feel like there is always sometimes emotional times in your life, just like the happy times or sometimes the failures or sometimes the passing of your family members. So I try to put my emotional things into the daily object. Next page. And there are some detail of my works. Yeah, thank you. And next page. Yeah, next page. And also, when I use my slabs, I also do some research. I do some research with my supervisors. We talk about the shaping slabs into sculptures, and we publish the books about using the slabs. It's also the first book in China we use shaping slabs, and include not only Chinese artists but also include some international artists. And by coincidence, yesterday I flew to Sydney to visit one of my favorite artists, and she told me she was selected by the number 37 Faenza, and she won the Golden Prize in 1978. And I think that was such a coincidence. And also when we talk about that, and I can feel her passions through her whole life making ceramic works. It really encouraged me. Thank you. Next page. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here and share my works. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presence and for your presentation. It is a way to reflect on the fact that you are pointing out a serious problem of the waste of food, and especially the waste of the material linked to food. So your ceramic forms enter the problematic of the daily life, the life of everyone, the reflection on what is the exploitation of our nature and our environment. So thank you very much. And it's yes, it was a great coincidence of meeting some artists that were awarded in the Faenza Prize just the day before your speech. That is very nice. So let's go on now with the last artist, Yen Ying. She sent a video, and she is, as we will see, she is using a dark humor and irony in her ceramic, hiding bitter realities. So, Stefania.
Hi, I'm Yen Ying. I'm happy to have this chance to introduce myself and my work for the 63rd Faenza Prize. For a long time, my creation have focused on the weakness of human nature and observed the things we see in society. Most of my inspiration come from my own experience, a little story from people around me. I especially love using dark humor and absurd theater style to talk about these topics. Because honestly, life is sometimes really ridiculous, funny, sad, and helpless at the same time. My work often look cute and warm, but if you look deeper, they actually talk about something dark, cruel, or a little bit heavy. I love this kind of contrast because it made the story more interesting and the character more real. It's like putting everyone's emotions on a little imaginary stage and letting my character unknowingly act out their most fragile, ridiculous, and helpless sides. When people said it, maybe they'll smile first, but then realize, hey, this is a kind like me too. For this year's Faenza, my work continues this idea. The thing is about desire and the contradiction inside people. In modern life, we are surrounded by temptation, even we know it's bad for us. Sometimes we just can't stop ourselves. When I was going through rough time, I escaped by a binge eating, especially sweets. It felt so good in the moment, like my problems disappeared. But then the guilt came, and the craving came back again. People are funny like that. We love the things that make us happy, but they can also control us. In this work, I use ceramic to create pieces that look cute and sweet. But if you look closer, there's something comfortable and a little twist behind them. I wanted to show how desire looks beautiful on the outside, but it's actually a trap you can't easily escape. Just like my other works, the characters in this piece are also like an actor on the stage, performing their most ridiculous and fragile moments without even knowing it. I hope the audience can both enjoy and the playful look, and at the same time feel a little bit of revelation about human nature and our own weakness. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. I really hope you can come to the exhibition and see my work in person. I would love to hear your thoughts and I look forward to meeting you there. Thank you.
So thank Yen Ying for her presentation. Her work is pointing out a social problem of the addiction, food addiction and sugar addiction. And with a kind of irony, she is underlining a big problem of our society. Before closing, I'd like to show the images of the artists selected in this edition, but they weren't participating in the talks. They are 15 over 35 and 6 under 35. So let's go with this sequence. Simone Cassini, Onde Vegetali. Go on. David Clark with his duck. Marc Goudy, The Memory of Water. Anna e Paola Marinuzzi with The White Step, Porcellana in Trasformazione, Porcelain in Transformation. Mattia Vernocchi and Francesco Bocchini with this ossario organico. Una Gura with flesh. Nikolaos Karintiaidis with this untitled. Dainis Lesins, Labyrinth. Simone Negri with Grande Propagazione Blu. Oishi Sayaka, Sensitive Apple, Black and White. Marta Palmieri with an installation of Ruines, Rovine. Ines Rotter with Column. Laura Scopa with the installation Reshape. Terenzio Sonda with implosione dicotomica, dichotomic implosion. Yu Nyun Qiao, mountains and water. And in the category under 35, we have Daniel Antropov with the dolphin. Ye Yung Cho, a form of perfection. Martina Cioffi with Homo stramonium. Victoria Nezta with form 2. Xingrui Xu with the space Big Dipper Tagambudu. And Yu Tse Wang, Scenery in the Kiln Fire. I think that's all. I'd like to ask the artist of today's talk to stay with me for the last greetings of this edition of the Faenza Prize. I'd like to ask them if there are question that you'd like to ask the other artists or something that you want to add of your presentation. If no problem. So we will have our meeting in June 27th in Faenza, and the exhibition will be till the end of November. There will be laboratories, guided tours, and a special event concert during this month of exhibition. So we are very happy to welcome you in Faenza. And I'd like again to thank all the artists that were in presence during this month of talks all together in the artistic community of the Faenza Prize, and of course to thank the jury and all of our supporters for this 63rd edition. Sorry, I'm very tired. And so good luck, everyone. As you know, next week there will be the jury in presence in Faenza, and see you at the end of June. Bye bye and thank you.